Hello guys, welcome to KISE College. Seriously. Hi guys, welcome back to KISE College TV. I'm Elizabeth, and as usual, we've got interviews lined up for you. But before we do that, you can reach us on all socials at Kenya Institute of Software Engineering and Professional Studies. I hope you're having an amazing evening. It's a wonderful morning, and how are you coping up with the weather change? Everyone was complaining about the heat in the country, not only in our country, but there was something to do with global warming. And now that it has started raining, how are you coping up with that? Switching from the different clothes, the sweaters and all that. How are you coping with the weather change? That's what I want to know. So please leave a comment. So before we get into our today's conversation, I want to thank you so much for always choosing to join us or spare your time to be a part of this conversation. Thank you so much. We value your presence. So today we are having interviews with software engineering department lecturers, and as you can see, I have company already. So without much or further ado, please help me welcome Mr. John. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sparing your time to be here.
Yes.
So please, kuna mtu hapa nje hakujui. We know you obviously, so please can you introduce yourself?
So hi, I am Mr. John Kenyanjui. I am a software engineering trainer, and I also head the software engineering department. Yes.
Okay, karibu sana.
Thank you.
And without much wordings and all that, can we just dive into the conversation? So my first question is, we have so many career choices. Why did you choose to do software engineering and not journalism and not catering and not any other?
The reason why I chose to do software engineering was I was following my heart. So I am into software engineering so much in terms of development, websites, mobile applications. So I just followed where my heart told me to go.
Where your heart told you to go. So yes. Is it okay? As for me, I did journalism.
Yes.
And it's something that I realized I wanted to do because since I was like maybe in high school. So for you, did it start in primary school, high school, wapi?
It actually began after high school.
High school after?
Immediately after high school.
What did you want to be in high school?
In high school, I had different dreams.
So it was not even one?
It was not one of them.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, that's a good thing. And another thing is putting in mind that you deal with students, peers. Of course, most of them are teenagers.
Yes.
Our Jankro. And there's so much attitude and, dealing with teenagers, how it is. So how are you able to work with them or relate with them well as a trainer?
One, I can say is through experience.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them normally have an attitude. Some of them are attracted to the course because of the name.
Yeah.
It's a big name.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what software engineering is.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in, they start doing the course. They may choose to leave, some may choose to stick.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I always do is try and change the attitude to be positive towards the course.
Okay.
Yes.
And another thing that I've realized I have not done is introduce to our audience. We are talking about software engineering.
Yes.
So there's someone out there mwenye haelewi what software engineering is.
Oh.
Me personally, I have no idea about that field. So how would you describe software engineering as, or what is it?
So software engineering basically revolves around creating applications.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 90% of the population have mobile phones, smartphones. So all the applications that are there are developed by people who do software engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Those who own laptops, all the applications you use there websites, all those are developed by software engineers.
So it's all about developing of softwares and all
Yes,
that.
yes.
Okay, so now you have a glimpse of what that is. So we've talked about dealing with peers, not peers, sorry, with teenagers and all that.
Yes.
And we've talked about the attitude and the child attitude as one of the challenges. How do you go about them? Same to you have a particular student mwenye anasumbua ama they think because they're in college you can't tell them anything.
Yes.
So how do you deal with such students?
One thing I always emphasize for the entire department is discipline. So discipline in terms of class attendance, paying attention, discipline in terms of the examinations that we normally partake. So discipline is the key issue which we use, especially for those, there are some few who may have a very negative attitude. So instilling that discipline in them makes it even more easier for them. Yes.
Okay, so it's all about discipline.
Yes.
Sawa. And the other question is about how you teach or the teaching methodologies and all that. So before you go to that particular session you have for the day, how are you able to prepare yourself to ensure that it's a productive one?
So in terms of preparation, one is research. There is a lot of research which normally goes into creating those notes, the notes that the students usually do. So you get different sources, you just read through, you compare, and then you get your material. Then in terms of delivery, software engineering is a practical course. So the student has to see the fun in doing software engineering. Practicals are actually all over. So you have to make it fun for them. You have to make it easier for them to understand. So in terms of the new concepts that we always learn, you have to take them from the beginning all the way to where now that particular point or that particular part you're covering in the session.
Okay.
Yes.
And another thing or another point that I've noted you've talked about is about a student or mtu anakuja kufanya software engineering because of the name.
Yes.
And wakikuja wanapata it's hard or maybe it's not something that they wanted to do. So often kuna yule mwenye or kuna yule mwenye atapata ni ngumu but it's something they want to do, hataki ku give up. What do you do ukiona student is trying to give up or maybe they think that the software course is so hard? Unafanyanga nini kusaidia huyo mwanafunzi?
So for one, software engineering is not hard. That is something you have to get out there first.
Okay.
It's actually something that is very easy. So when it comes to software engineering, it's normally classified by the different languages that are under it.
Yeah.
When we come to how we train it here, we do Java, being 75% of what is done. So for someone who may think it's tough, we first begin with the classes. One, they have to have attended all the classes. When a concept is being taught, it's made easier by the lecturer explaining with the aid of maybe the notes or the presentations, with the aid of the practicals they're doing in class. Then there is the exercises. So in between the session, in between the class, in order for that student to understand better, there will be practical tasks which we issue to them. At the end of the session, there is a takeaway task. So from all those, as a trainer, once I am assessing, especially the takeaway, I will be able to gauge a student in terms of understanding, in terms of doing it practically. Yes.
So you get them by the assignment and the practical tasks that you give.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good way to go about it. And before we go to our last question, what do you believe are some important soft skills or other soft skills that you can teach your students other than software engineering that can correlate or that will help that student once they are out there other than software engineering?
Okay, so when it comes to software engineering, people have some certain perception. But one thing I can say, this person who is training to become a software engineer is still human. They're still a person.
Yeah.
So one of the things which we emphasize is communication skills. So when I am approached maybe by a client, they need an application to be developed. I am supposed to be in a position to talk to that client, express maybe all the features that that particular application is supposed to have, how I'm going to go about development and all that. The other thing is maybe entrepreneurship. One doesn't have to be employed. It's not always the way to go.
Yeah.
One can choose to be a freelance developer. So with that one, you're self-employed. So you'll need to have the skills to manage your own business, manage your own clients. Yes.
Okay, so communication skills, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and there are so many. Those are just a few of them.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other question is about once, for example, taken the field of software engineering, what are some of the career choices that I have?
So software engineering is wide. It's very wide. Normally we can group it into three broad categories. So one, we have mobile applications or mobile phone development. So anyone who is going to be doing Android applications or iOS for the iPhone applications. The other class we have is desktop applications. Anything that is going to run on a PC. Then we have web-based applications. Those are just basically websites. So in terms of career choice, one can pick from those three, but those are just broad. When we come to each of them, we can go several other ways, but broadly we have those three.
Okay.
Yes.
And what would you tell someone who is out there watching and they want to do software engineering? Or what would you tell our audience as a parting shot?
So as a parting shot, we normally have a saying around here in KISE, programming is fun. So it's supposed to be fun from the time you're learning it in class to the time you're applying it in the field. So I would like to invite anyone who is into software development, you can come and join us so that we can go through the process together.
Okay, so guys, that was just the first session of the interview. We are going to take a short commercial break and we will be back with more gist.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to yet another session of the interview today. And the first person or the first lecturer that we had was Mr. John. and I hope you've learned something from what he had to say about software engineering. And joining me again in the studio is going to introduce himself, is also a software engineering lecturer. Please help me welcome him. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Thank you for choosing to be here. Okay, so please introduce yourself.
So my name is Gideon Karobia, a software trainer at Kenya Institute of Software Engineering.
Okay, so the first question is, what are the important categories of software?
So as the categories, or the main categories we study here are, one is enterprise, which is mostly what the students decide to do, which mostly it encompasses the creating desktop applications. Mm-hmm. So the other one we have is mobile development, which of course so it encompasses all the apps that you create for a mobile phone. Mm-hmm. So all the Windows, Android, and iOS. The other one we have is web development. Then creating website and everything. Then the last one you have is network administration.
Okay, so those you have, or in software there's only 3 categories.
Yes,
the major ones.
I've said how many? 4. Enterprise. I've also said mobile. I've also said web development, and I've said network administration.
So they are 4 in total. Okay, so what are the requirements a student must have to do software engineering?
So of course he must have of course he has to come with the brain of the body, himself, to present himself. Mm-hmm. So but the mostly what we prefer is if it's possible, he should come with a laptop. Sometimes we prefer if he comes with a laptop, it will be easier for us to train, because when the student go back to the hostel, you find that if he doesn't have a laptop, it will be difficult for them to catch up. So preferably he should come with a laptop. That laptop is the main thing that should have.
Okay, so those are like the physical requirements, but is there like a specific requirement, like in terms of grade and all that?
So grade at least could have so from D+ and above.
Or is it open, stuff like that?
No, it's not open. It's a technical.
It's technical. Okay. And another thing is about you dealing with students. You deal with teenagers, or these young boys and girls, and they think they know the world and you can't tell them anything. So how are you able to deal with students with attitudes and all that?
So number one thing is we did not come from the moon. We passed from that stage.
Obviously.
And, so I know everything they are thinking about, and everything that they want to do before they do. I know I was in that stage, and I saw what my trainer do. And the first thing is you need to counsel them, because as much as you are teaching the technical part, you don't ignore the psychological part or psychological aspects. Some students might be facing challenges back at the hostel, back at home. Yeah. So we have experienced such. So the idea is getting down to them, ask them questions, because they might be having some psychological issues. Somebody might do that, and maybe it's because of the idea of psychological issues. So just get to know them.
Yeah. So understand your student. Yeah. Okay. And another thing is about the languages, or the programming languages. Which ones do you use?
So programming languages here, mostly, of course, there are a number of them. If you start counting them, there are too many. But most of the one we deal here is number one is Java. So of course the one with a cup of coffee as its logo. So that one is the main. Actually, that's the main language, the core language here, because
it's Java.
In fact, the Java is a global language, which is almost every person knows that language. It's the language that has its roots. It's just like we have the dollar being the currency of the world. So Java is something that is global around the world. owned by Oracle. Oracle is the owner. So the other one is C#. Of course, we know Microsoft. So it's the owner of that platform. C# and VB.NET, we train like they are one thing. So the other one is so I've said Java. I've said so the other one is the Python. We have Python. So of course, don't go to the animal. So just
it's not Python the animal.
It's just a language. It's Python as a language. So it's one also of the language, but it's taught in the web part. So it teaches the like part of the website part. So the other one is we have like let's say in the mobile development we have like Android. So of course Android is not a language as such, but a framework, kind of a framework, but kind of it's like a language, but as a unique kind of language it's encompassed in it uses Java and some XML, so it's like a framework. So those are the main languages that we teach here. So if you know Java, then this is the main language.
Okay, so Java is the main language.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys don't worry. If you want more information about software engineering, you can always reach us at on our website, that is Kenya Institute of Software Engineering and Professional Studies. You can also reach us on all social media at Kenya Institute of Software Engineering and Professional Studies if you want more details expounded to you about software engineering. And yes, Mr. Gideon, a parting shot. What would you tell the audience or someone who wants?
So of course, the technology is the way to go. Computers are the way to go because soon we'll not be working, just be sitting in our computers. They are working for us. So it's a good way. Software engineering is the world now. It has become the world. Artificial intelligence, we see where it is. So whereby now we having everything computerized. So if for someone who is who is preparing to do software engineering, that's the best place you can be in this era.
Okay.
Thank you.
So guys, thank you so much for watching us. We value you, and if you have any question or any comment or anything that you want to communicate, please don't forget to leave a comment below, whether you are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. And thank you so much. I hope you do have yourself a good evening, and see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye.